Let's go.
Question real quick.
Yeah,
we
sure.
can ask the next
Go,
person.
go, no,
We'll be real quick with this.
Okay.
The Browns have 7 wins, 3 games left.
Right.
Is this a positive football season for Cleveland Brown fans?
I think it is.
I do too, but is it going to be ruined in the last 3 weeks because of what ifs? I'm asking.
No.
You know how our town works.
I think
This
when
is
you
a
come
positive-
back, yeah, but here's the problem. Everyone gets all upset. Everybody gets all bummed out. And then all of a sudden, when we head back into the season next year, like, hey, man, they won 7 games with Brian Hoyer as their quarterback. Look how many guys are still on this team. And then there'll be optimism going into next season.
I hope, because that's the one thing I hope comes out of this season. This has been a great building block. Let's be honest. I'm being honest. I never, at the highest of high, after that Cincinnati win, and we came in Friday morning.
Right.
I still didn't think they were a playoff team.
Right.
I thought they played well. I think this has been a really good year, and I think that's going to get lost in the translation over the last 3 weeks. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. I hope I'm wrong.
If I could make up one rule for this city, and it goes against this show, I would implement, and I just read the story. It was a pretty good story. I don't know, just because my kids are playing more youth sports, I've been reading a lot more articles about youth sports and stuff. So one of the things, and I was reading this in, it was USA Hockey Magazine, the 24-hour rule. If you just wait 24 hours after a game and then think about it and digest it, it has a whole different taste or a whole different look than it does. And this is, in the article I was reading, it was just about wait 24 hours before you talk to a coach. Wait 24 hours before you do that, and then you'll go with your true gut feeling.
Doesn't fit our society, but
No.
it's a great way to look at life.
Well, it goes against patience.
And it should be anything in life.
Right.
You know, anytime you make a mistake or do something well, but it's hard in our society right now to do that. Because the whole Johnny
Because you can get 10,000 different flavors at Starbucks right now. That's right.
Now.
2
And
seconds.
I don't hate Johnny Manziel. I want to see Johnny Manziel play. But I do get it. I got a little old school in me, too. I get kind of where Mike Pettin is coming from as well. I do. And it goes back to, if you have so many problems with what a guy does off the field and when he shows up, why did you draft him?
I agree. I'm 100% with you. What do you got?
It's also funny, too. It's a what have you done for me lately league. And the expectations for Browns fans, I mean, at the beginning of the year, like I said, if you had said 7-6, I would have been thrilled. But now the fact that we lost 2 games, I mean, now
It's
I'm
how
not
you
thrilled.
lose them.
Right,
It's all perspective.
It is.
Everything's
It's the
perspective.
same way with, like, at the beginning of the year with the
What if they end up 10-6?
I'd be
That's the
thrilled.
most amazing season I think we could
But
ask for.
honestly, I bet a lot of fans would be like, "Well, we should have made the playoffs."
Oh,
And
yeah.
we
Oh,
were
yeah.
in position.
There's gonna
we
be-
were in
you're
position.
right.
Okay, there's you know what? There's something good for hunger.
Eric's right, though. They can win 19 games, and there's going to be 45% of people are going, they screwed the season up.
Of course, they should have played Manziel earlier, because that would have meant that Johnny comes in and wins 3. Let's go to Craig Lindell, who's in the now new Waiting for Next Year studios. Look at that.
Craig,
Woo!
look at you.
You are styling. What's going to be on Waiting for Next Year today? This will be interesting.
Well, it's funny you guys were talking, the conversation you were having just before we went live here, because that was kind of the same thing that I was talking about in my recap from yesterday. It's this idea of, if I told you that the Browns would be 7-6, you know, before the season started, would you have taken it? And the answer is yes, of course. And yes, eventually we'll probably look at this as something of a successful season and a building season. But when you're in it, you're going to game, you get greedy. And it feels like the Browns left something on the table yesterday specifically, and it hurts.
No, you're right, Craig. I mean, it's easy to say, hey, 24 hours ago, none of us thought that the Browns were better than the Colts. But at 1:30 yesterday, Ben, you know, we threw that out the window and we said, hey, we're beating the Indianapolis Colts. We're making Andrew Luck look like a bad quarterback.
His wife might call him that.
You think so?
Yeah, why not?
You think he goes to Pacers games on Tuesday nights?
Probably, I bet he does. And you know what? No cameras shoot him.
Oh, is that what he has?
So he's got a little deal.
Okay. Craig, what do you make of all the peripheral things that are said about Johnny Manziel right now?
I tend to disagree a little bit with what Andy was saying, because Andy was saying, you know, you knew what you had when you drafted this kid, and I think the Browns did to a certain extent. You know, they defended his offseason in Vegas and this, that, and the other. But I really do think that it was their expectation, and maybe a reasonable expectation, that his in-season activities would be a little more in line. I mean, we've all been there, and obviously none of us are Johnny Manziel. None of us have had those opportunities, but we've all been kind of in the college routine where we maybe drank and partied too much, and then we got our first real job, and it's an adjustment period, and you find a more professional groove. And I don't think it's unreasonable to draft a guy with a party boy lifestyle and a party boy attitude and then expect him to come in, lock down a little bit, and take things a little bit more seriously. I guess, shame on the Browns for not knowing what they had when they drafted him, but I think they've been very fair about his off-season exploits, but the in-season stuff, if he's not doing what they think he should be doing, then, that's on Johnny. It's not on the Browns for drafting him.
Yeah, I can see why you say that. What's that?
I just my only point here is, I mean, you knew what you were going to. Johnny Manziel going to a Cavs game on a Tuesday night where he might have had a chance to be a starter is just. It is what it is.
It is, but you still haven't named one guy in the league that would do that.
I don't know. I don't know what these guys are doing on Tuesday.
You do know.
Hey, maybe Brian Hoyer going for a Christmas tree at Petiti's yesterday. What a great shout out!
You know who would? Jay Cutler.
I mean, if Phillip Rivers, but see, you know how this works. Like the Cavs are in Brooklyn tonight, right?
Right.
And isn't the Prince and everybody going to be there?
Right.
Come on, if you're a top 10 starting quarterback in the NFL, and you go to a game, it's known, right or wrong. It's an image thing, I'm not saying it's right
What
or
about
wrong.
Braylon Edwards shipping down to go watch Ohio State, Michigan?
Great example.
Right.
Look where he's at.
I agree.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Braylon had all the talent in the world, and Craig, because that's the thing I keep saying to people. I get it. I love being 22 years old. I love being 23 years old. But I had people around me that were like, hey, if you really want a career, you might want to take this back a little bit and enjoy being employed rather than enjoy the moments when you're not at work. That's hard for Johnny right now because Johnny enjoys the moments when he's and
So
God
is he
bless
benched
him.
because his birthday was Saturday night? Is that what
Well,
you're
I
saying?
don't think that's even a
Yes.
part of it. No, because it's not like players can go out on Saturday night. He's in the team hotel. I don't know why we made a big deal about that. He's not like he can go out then. He was out Friday night, and God bless him. Half the NFL was out Friday night. I'm not killing the kid, but at quarterback.
But you're holding him to a higher standards because he's a quarterback.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I am.
All right, that's
Quarterbacks. You said it best for me. Sorry, Craig.
All right, Craig, give us what's coming up on Waiting for Next Year.
Obviously, the winners and losers, we'll be talking about all this. And I guess my last point would be just that I think that I agree more with Andre on this one, just because if you know who you're chasing and what you're chasing, it doesn't look like he cares to act the part of the guy he's chasing. And he's just waiting to be named quarterback, and that bugs me.
I agree.
I understand it, but he is what he is.
And
We
Craig-
all knew that.
And Craig, speaking of winners
We all
and
knew
losers, and whether this is right or wrong, what Craig just said, I think, is a problem they have in the locker room right now. When you have a Joe Thomas come to the head coach and say, and I think this played into Mike Pettin, where he goes, no, we want to go with the guy that's struggling terribly.
Right.
We don't want to go with that guy. It's an image thing. They don't trust for Joe Thomas to say that means they don't trust him, right?
Hey, Andre,
Yes.
we got to before you guys cut me off. We've got to talk about Joe Thomas one of these days because
Yeah.
I love Joe Thomas. Everybody loves Joe Thomas, but he cannot be trusted when it comes to asking
God bless
about who should play where. He loved Pat Shurmur. He was all in the tank for Pat Shurmur. Joe Thomas is the greatest team guy in the history of professional sports, the history of the Cleveland Browns. He cannot be trusted when it comes to choosing a quarterback.
You're right. That's a great point. Craig, we can go
All
on
right,
that
you're cut
night.
off then. We'll see you later. Bye,
Good stuff,
Craig.
Take care, buddy.
WaitingForNextYear.com. Let's go to Betty really quick. She's on the phone line. Hello, Betty.
Well, hello.
How are you?
How are you, baby?
Still waiting for that T-shirt.
Yeah, well, call the desk. Call the newsroom.
But
I can take
listen,
mine off and throw it to you.
Okay,
Would you stop? This is getting a family show, man.
No rules.
I'll take it.
Oh.
Well, I'm
Okay.
saying I'm going to be game up, and I'm still saying go
Oh,
Browns.
Betty, your phone's dying out on me. Keep going, Betty.
Go Browns.
Okay, good.
All right, there you go. All right.
Thanks, Betty.
Let me read something real quick.
All right, read something real quick.
And then I got a video to show you guys.
Oh,
It's
let's
pretty
see the
funny.
video.
Let's see the video, and then I'll read what I.
Okay, so I'm just seeing this. I don't know if you guys saw this earlier, but it's like a Deadspin video. It was in the third quarter.
Miss
Can you
Gordon.
drop
Brian-
the Dogs on the Run Super so we can see it? Because
Yeah.
I can't see it.
So you got
Oh, he didn't really say that one, did he?
yes, he's lip synced, I guess, saying it. The lip read, and this is what they're saying. It was a third quarter pass where Hoyer overthrows Gordon, and
It was a bad throw.
yeah, it looks like he's saying that.
I don't. We can't. I'm not. What are we in court now? Reading? You're really reading his lips. Look at you.
No, I'm just trying to see the whole thing.
Just watch Johnny.
Good. I hope Johnny would have said
Well,
that.
that's wouldn't that?
I don't really have a problem with that.
Neither do I. But
Do you?
It's still not a great.
No, I
look.
just think
It's interesting.
funny,
You know,
yeah.
it's good to have it up there. All right, Doug Gottlieb.
All right, yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Played at Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
coach.
yeah,
It's on another, other couple letters.
Yeah.
When the announcement of when Johnny Manziel showed up, this is what he said, and I agree with this. Act like the job you want, not the one you have. Saying for Johnny, act like you want this job. Don't act like a backup. Act like a starter. Get your ass there on time. That's what.
But he was there on time.
No, see, you know better. You know better. You know better. If you were running the Browns.
I do think that there is a point in the NFL where it's too much. There's a point where it's Johnny
is it too much for
Johnny
Peyton
is
Manning?
not. No.
Is it too much for Peyton Manning?
Let me ask you this: what's the best game of the year the Browns played this year? What's the best game?
The Cincinnati game.
How many days of preparation do they have?
2 days.
I think sometimes there's overkill.
Okay,
and there are some. I mean, there have been great coaches out there
I'm not
that
disagreeing
let
with
their
that.
guys go home, and they think there's an importance to going home at 6 o'clock at night, having dinner with your family.
And most of those guys get fired.
Yeah, but it's not right.
No, it's not. See, you're losing it on game day. The guy that leads you. Come on, you know this.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think you can be there early enough. I understand all
I know
that.
you are.
But my problem is he is who he is. It's not going to change.
But don't you think at some point in time the light bulb goes off and he goes?
There's only one person that's going to call him and change that light bulb. He's in town. Want to guess who that is?
Who's that?
You think LeBron calls him and says, "You need to start doing this"?
I don't know. I think LeBron at some point in time will have to. I can give you the perfect example. Opening day of the Cavs.
Right.
Joe, and I have told you the story off there. Joe Hayden comes out after halftime with a plastic cup. Joe Hayden's wife comes out with a plastic cup. They all have a drink in their hand or whatever else. Johnny had one. And you know what Mav Carter did? Put his arm up and stopped them. So Johnny, he said, don't go out there with that cup.
Right.
And you could see it.
Right.
So Johnny downed it, threw the cup down, and went and sat down.
All right, well, someone's got his back.
But he needs more of that, obviously, is my point. Not the guy that's driving up and down West 6th Street at 2:30 a.m. on Friday nights.
All right, time to play Grade the Team. Let's go, Eric the referee. Everybody's in. Kenny Rhoda's in. Tim Couch is in as well. Eric the referee, where do we start?
All right, you guys know where we start. Start at quarterback. Brian Hoyer, 14 of 31, 2 interceptions, and then that costly one in the end zone. What do you guys think of Brian Hoyer?
Let's start with the quarterback himself, Tim Couch. Tim?
Played really poor. I gave him a B-. I really thought that, Coach Petty going to him and sticking with him in this football game, playing at home, that he would turn it around and have a big game. But, he just didn't do it. He didn't look good. He didn't look comfortable. He had opportunities to hit big plays. The one we just saw in the video with Josh down the sideline, another one down the middle, would have completely changed the game. Guys wide open. He overthrew him. I just think he has really lost his confidence at this point in the season. So D- for me.
Kenny Rhoda.
Kenny is consistent, baby. I love it.
What else is there to give him, guys? A 50.7 quarterback rating over the last 4 games, a 1-3 record, missing high on throws, wide open throws, as we saw that video there to Josh Gordon. Mike Pettin stuck his neck out for him and gave him another opportunity to prove him right, and he failed miserably. There's no other grade to give Brian Hoyer for yesterday but an F.
Yeah. I went D-. It was just awful. It was not a passing situation. It was awful to watch. And it's terrible to watch a guy completely lose his confidence, whether it's, no matter what sport it is. He couldn't hit the side of a barn yesterday. And for them to stick with him just maybe drove me even more crazy. It was a D-, probably an F.
I don't know. I think the only reason I gave him a D, and to be the nice guy in this one.
You stopped by Mr. Hero before?
No, if Josh Gordon catches that ball at the end of the game and they win, it's still a D performance. But
it's a win.
There was still the opportunity was there. I wish I.
But
could,
he didn't.
He didn't. Well, Josh Gordon didn't catch the ball, right?
It wasn't the perfect throw. Was it a catchable ball? Yes. It wasn't the perfect throw. They're not in that situation if he hits Gordon, who's open by 15 yards earlier in the game.
Yeah. I agree with that. The other one that really stuck in my mind was it seemed like a forced pass, but after the game, Jordan Cameron said he ran the wrong route. Now, I don't know if he just...
Got a lot of that going on, too,
But,
guys.
that changes the whole game. You score that touchdown early on. Now his confidence is back. You got all these other things going on.
Do you think that's what's going through Mike Pettin's head, though, too?
Yes.
He knows Jordan Cameron screwed that play up. Jordan Cameron should flash across the middle. He doesn't. Now, Hoyer said, I shouldn't have thrown it, but he trusted him. So you have a guy in Gordon and Cameron who barely have played this year, but they're 2 of your best playmakers, and you're trying to put them out there in situations where you need them, and neither one of them are coming through for you.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's Too much on the quarterback when they win. It's not enough when they lose, or the other way around, or something like that. All right, let's go to the next one because I think we all know. What's your next subject here?
All right, Isaiah Crowell, another touchdown. He now has 8 on the year. He's just 3 away from tying Trent Richardson's rookie record.
I don't know if I'd want that record.
Let's grade. You go first, Mr. Running Back.
I gave him a C. I thought in the first half they were explosive. I like how they used them. It says I gave him a D, but I think it says C on my paper D. Hell, I'll give them a D. They were terrible in the second half. I think they only had 30-some yards in the second half. It's part offensive line, part play calling. To me, and I know there were a lot of 3-and-outs, but you should have fed those guys. If you go through Indianapolis's losses this year against the good teams, New England pounded them with the run game. Philadelphia pounded them with the run game. We all know I love DeQuell Jackson as a guy, but you run right at him. He's undersized. They didn't take advantage of that, and that's part of the reason they lost.
There's nothing offensively in the second half. There's no reason to give him anything higher than, I don't even know what I gave him. Let's go to Kenny. Go ahead. I gave him a D. There was no reason for anything. Kenny, you gave him a C-.
I did. They cracked the 100-yard mark, and in years past, we would have been doing cartwheels and backflips down Euclid if that happened. So, and they were the only unit to get in the end zone yesterday, Crowell, with the touchdown. So it's not a very high grade, but I gave him a C-.
Let's go, Tim.
I give them a B just for the simple fact that, in the first half, they go for over 90 yards rushing the football. I thought the backs looked really good in the first half. The second half, how many carries did both backs have combined? Like 10 carries at the most combined in the second half. And I think a lot of what the problem with the running game was that we couldn't complete a pass to stay on the field to keep a drive alive, and there was a lot of 3-and-outs and those type of things. So the running backs in the second half really didn't have an opportunity to make any plays. So I stuck with a B.
Fair enough. Let's go. Next one.
All right, we got wide receivers. I think the play that also not a lot of people are talking about was that catch that Gordon had that was then reviewed and ruled not a catch.
And you thought it was a catch?
No, I'm saying if you catch that ball, the game's over. I mean,
it was. Look, as much as I love Brian Hoyer, that was a horrible pass. I hated that pass.
Got to catch it.
It was on the ground.
Got to catch it. It was a bad pass. Got to catch it.
It was a hockey shot.
True, but Jordan Cameron led the way. 4 catches, 41 yards. Josh Gordon just 2 catches for 15 yards on 7 targets.
I don't know what it is, but the chemistry is all, up since Josh is back. I can't explain it. Doesn't make any sense to me. You lose Miles Austin, you got all kinds of issues.
Could you imagine that we're sitting on December 8th and they missed Miles Austin yesterday? They really did. They missed him.
Tim, you went C- on this. Why?
Just drop balls. I think that the receivers, they had opportunities to make some plays that Brian overthrew. We all know about that, but they did drop some passes, that could have kept some drives alive. I really do think you guys hit on a good point. They missed Miles Austin, especially on those third down situations. Miles, he's not an explosive guy, but he's a chain mover. He keeps those drives alive, and he's a consistent guy, make those tough catches across the middle for you. And not having him out there yesterday really hurt the wide receiver group.
Yeah. Kenny's so optimistic you give him an F+.
My first F+ of the year. Congratulations to the wide receivers who did not make enough big plays. Yes, Brian Hoyer was awful yesterday, but I watched probably 6 games yesterday, okay? And I've seen receivers on other teams make the quarterback look good, and nobody helped Brian Hoyer out yesterday in doing that. However, having said that, not having Miles Austin, and I never thought I'd say this, guys. Who'd have thunk it, right? Never thought I'd say that they missed Miles Austin, but Tim, you're right. He's accepted his new role where in Dallas he used to be that touchdown maker. Yep. Here he's that first down maker, and not having him really hurt the team yesterday.
Yep. All right, interesting one to grade here. Defense is up next. We'll start with Tim. Tim, what do you have for the defense?
I gave the defense an A+. You're talking about going against one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the entire league. And the way they played throughout that game, 4 turnovers, 2 touchdowns on defense. They confused Andrew Luck the entire game. They got him off his spot with pressure. They made him move his feet. I thought the defense was awesome yesterday. They played as well as they could possibly have played. And it's a shame that performance went away. So A+ for me.
I'll buy everything you're saying. When the defense gets you 14 points, you should win games. Definitely, it would have been an A performance if they would have made 1 stop on Boom Herron. That was it. That was the difference between an A and a B for me.
Yeah, I gave them a B, but I agree. If they get that stop, they did have the opportunity to win the game late. But the turnovers, the way they were able to Andrew Luck looked terrible, and we don't see that. They played their rear end off. And if you're Coach Pettin and you're a defensive coach, guys, think about how he didn't sleep last night because he came up with the perfect scheme for that Indianapolis Colts team.
Kenny.
I gave him an A, guys. Andrew Luck's quarterback rating was 59. They won the turnover battle, which was one of my keys, 4-2. I think it was 17 points off turnovers. And they gave Brian Hoyer short fields to work with, and he was unable to really capitalize on those short fields. And anytime you hold Andrew Luck to 25 points in a game, that means you should win that game because they're one of the highest scoring teams in the National Football League. It was a wasted performance by a unit that played its ass off yesterday.
All right, here's another fun one. Let's go to special teams right now.